Hey everyone, Rich Gasaway here. A few weeks back, I announced that I was looking for a department or an association to partner with me to host a program on September 26th, National Situational Awareness Day. I said I wanted this to be the biggest event I'd ever done, with a bodacious goal of having 500 students. And for hosting, the department that partners with me would get some nice incentives, including all their members being able to attend for free. From that announcement, and from an announcement made in my monthly newsletter, I had 19 agencies step up and express interest in hosting this event. And now I have a problem. How am I going to accommodate 19 agencies on September 26th? I'm going to have to figure out what to do. Although I'm not complaining, it's a great problem to have. If your agency wants to host a situational awareness program in a way that will make it free for your members to attend, contact me by going to samatters.com homepage and clicking on the Contact Us link, and I'll tell you how you can do that. I'm giving serious consideration to celebrating September as National Situational Awareness Month to accommodate all the agencies that have expressed interest in hosting. And here's something else to consider. If your department cannot, for one reason or another, afford to host a live event, and I understand that completely, now I have an alternative for you. The Situational Awareness Matters Online Academy. There are almost 700 students enrolled in the Academy as I speak on this podcast. Issues with situational awareness are consistently identified as contributing factors to near misses, injuries, and fatality events. Don't wait until your agency has a catastrophic outcome. Seriously, I can help you take your understanding of situational awareness and high-risk decision-making to the level that it needs to be. Visit the SA Matters website, click on the green button on the right side of the homepage labeled Online Academy. Okay, the premier enrolled students in the Academy got a real treat this week, as I had on as my webinar guest Assistant Chief Doug Klein from the Horry County Fire and Rescue Department, and Doug talked about training for safe operations. The next webinar for the premium enrolled students is May 10th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'll feature Chris Naum talking about building construction and the situational awareness connection. Premium enrolled students will get a notification in the course room along with your login credentials. Okay, that's enough of the pre-show stuff. Let's get this party started. Today's episode is sponsored by Midwest Fire. For more than 20 years, Midwest Fire has been manufacturing high-quality tankers, tanker pumpers, and fire rescue vehicles in the United States and Canada. Keeping firefighters safe while enhancing their capabilities is what they do best. To learn more, go to midwestfire.com.
This is Nick Miller, retired Deputy Chief from the Valley Volunteer Fire Department, and you are listening to the SA Matters radio show with Dr. Rich Gasaway. The SA Matters mission is simple. They want to help us see the bad things coming in time to avoid bad outcomes.
Hello, and welcome to episode 155 of the Situational Awareness Matters radio show. I'm your host, Rich Gasaway. The purpose of this show is to improve situational awareness and decision-making for individuals and teams who work in high-risk, high-consequence environments. The SA Matters mission is simple: to help you see the bad things coming and time to avoid bad outcomes. This podcast show has been downloaded over 205,000 times. That blows my mind. And that makes this show, SA Matters Radio, officially the single longest consecutive running first responder safety focused podcast show on the internet. How cool is that, huh? If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, go over to iTunes and subscribe if you have an Apple device, or if you have an Android device, go to Stitcher Radio and search for SA Matters Radio. There's also a link to the podcast page on the SA Matters website. I have a very personal favor to ask of you. If you subscribe to this show, when you go over to iTunes or Stitcher, give the show a rating and a review. I realize that most of you who are listening to the show, You're not doing it while you're sitting at your computer, which means you probably don't remember to do it later. Please make a note or send yourself a text message or something like that. And do it later. It would mean so much to me. I promise you, it would make my day, my week, and my month. Next week is going to be another big milestone event for this show as we release episode number 156. That will mark the 3-year anniversary of this podcast show. I have released a new episode every Tuesday, never missed a week, for 3 consecutive years. And I do that because of you. Yes, you, the listener. You inspire me to work hard for you. I've been sharing the message of situational awareness and high-risk decision-making in live events for 12 years now. I'm here for the long run, and for so long as I'm able, I'm going to continue to share this message, a message of hope, a message of inspiration, and a message of encouragement for all first responders who want to make sure that they're able to develop and maintain strong situational awareness and make quality, high-risk decisions. I'm dedicated to helping improve your safety and your survival, and to helping you accomplish the very most important goal of all, the most important one: go home to the ones who love you. And speaking of sharing the message, I'm coming to you today from Richland, Washington, where I'm in town to deliver 4 programs for the Washington State Hazardous Materials Conference. Thank you to Assistant State Fire Marshal Scott Lancaster for your efforts to organize this awesome conference focused on important topics for hazardous materials responders and handlers from a wide assortment of agencies and private companies. One of the questions I get asked a lot by readers and listeners is, when are you coming to my area? I want to attend a program. Or, where are you going to be next? Great questions, and the answer is easy to find out. There's a link to the upcoming events right on the homepage of the SA Matters website. Just click on the blue box on the right side of the page labeled Upcoming Events Schedule. I feel very blessed that I have some very exciting presentation opportunities on the horizon, including for the Fire Department Instructors Conference, for the Fire Department of the City of New York Incident Management Team, for the United States Navy, for Fire Rescue International, for the NASA Glenn Research Center, and for the Amsterdam Fire Brigade. If you're interested in hosting a Situational Awareness Matters tour stop in 2017 for your department or your association or your region or your state or your company, yes, our trainers do programs for private industry too, please contact me through the SA Matters website. There's a Contact Us tab right there on the homepage. We'll get something set up for you. I promise you it's not hard to do. In today's feature segment, the 6th podcast in this series, we are once again discussing dangerous mindsets. We're going to cover 9 of them in total, and today we're going to be looking at the silent. To recap the 9 dangerous mindsets being covered in this series, in Part 1 we discussed the starter, in Part 2 we discussed the subordinate mind, in Part 3 we discussed the specialist, in Part 4 we discussed the superior mind, in Part 5, which was last week, we discussed the stubborn-minded, and today we're going to discuss the silent mind. Remaining in the series are the Superman, Superwoman mind, the slacker mind, and the synergist mind. Let's jump into our feature segment on dangerous mindsets and talk about the silent. But stick around. When the feature segment is done, I'm going to tell you where you can attend an upcoming Situational Awareness Matters tour stop event. Who knows? Maybe there's going to be one in your state or in your county soon, and we'll get a chance to meet up. The silent. The silent individual, for whatever reason, may not speak up, even if something horribly is going wrong. This can have a devastating consequence on first responder safety because the silent member may see something very important for the safety of personnel operating on a scene and yet never say a word. Cat got your tongue? Why would a member not speak up and share critical information that could save the life of someone else? There are many possible reasons, but I'll explain just a few. First, the member could be afraid that speaking up will be perceived as being a troublemaker or a dissident or disobedient to authority. Some members defy authority. Other members fear authority. Those who defy are often outspoken, perhaps even obnoxious when it comes to pointing out everything that's wrong with a decision of a superior. Conversely, the silent is soft-spoken, and sometimes silent to the point that nothing will be said, even if superiors are making mistakes that could result in injuries or death. I have determined through my research, through assessments of casualty reports, and through exercises conducted during my live events that situational awareness is vulnerable under stress, even among the most talented of supervisors and commanders. A subordinate who fears speaking up has a dangerous mindset. I once suffered a near miss at a fire scene because I did not speak up when I saw something going wrong. I know those who know me would say I am anything but a silent one, but such was not always the case. Early in my career, I feared authority and those who had power over me. The thought of speaking up mortified me. When I had the opportunity at a fire scene to speak up and point out something that was going wrong, I didn't do it. As a result, several of my colleagues were injured, but I wasn't among them. I'm not proud that it happened, but at the time I was too afraid, and quite frankly, I really didn't know how to speak up. The introvert. Some first responders are introverts. There are some misconceptions about introverts, including that they are shy and quiet. Some are, but not all are. There is something different going on inside the brain of an introvert. The frontal lobes of the brain in an introvert are stimulated by solidarity and become very active. Introverts can be excellent problem solvers and complex thinkers. This comes from their introspection. Extroverts, on the other hand, have more activity in the sensory areas of their brain, therefore seek external stimulation through social activities. There's nothing wrong with either trait. All we need to know is they are different and that it is part of the function of their brain. Introverts tend to keep their energy and enthusiasm to themselves. They may also, in turn, keep concerns to themselves, and this can contribute to dangerous outcomes. Introverts tend to reflect before speaking up or reacting to a situation. Again, in a dynamically changing environment, the delay can be dangerous. Some introverts prefer written communication over verbal communications. Unfortunately, emergency scenes do not lend themselves well to written communications. Finally, an introvert can repeatedly rehearse what they want to say in their mind, which can lead them to believe that they've already said something, when in reality, they haven't said it at all. This can also cause a problem on an emergency scene if the introvert believes an update or progress report was transmitted when in fact it was not. Upbringing. Some are raised in a household where it is considered respectful to only speak when spoken to. Thus, they have learned to keep their mouths shut. Honestly, I have known a few people who I wish were raised in such a household because they simply don't know how to keep their mouths shut, ever. But that's not the topic of this podcast. A person who has been raised in an environment where they may have been ridiculed or chastised for speaking up may develop a habit of keeping their mouth shut. They are not shy, they are just being respectful, or they are afraid to speak up. Either way, this can be dangerous. Lack of confidence or self-esteem. Some responders may lack the confidence or self-esteem to speak up. If they are new on the job, or if they feel they are undertrained or not qualified to speak up, then they may not have the confidence to believe that their contributions will be valuable to the situation. Likewise, someone whose self-esteem is low may not see themselves as worthy of being a contributor. This condition may have been promulgated from years of being beat down by others, co-workers, friends, family members, bosses, or teachers. This person sees the consequence of speaking up to be too great. Therefore, they don't speak up at all. Some people are silent learners. They feel they're better suited to learn from others versus being an active participant in the learning, and would rather listen than participate. Superiors and coworkers with healthy egos and strong self-esteem want other team members to speak up if something is going wrong or if something they see may be harmful. Leaders cannot, however, assume that underlings will automatically know that it is safe and that the input from the underlings is appreciated and that the leaders want them to speak up. This is something the leader must communicate directly and not make any assumptions about. When someone does display the courage to speak up, the leader must not admonish them and shut them down. Instead, they should encourage them. This relationship is likely to be developed and maintained or destroyed in non-emergency interactions. If a positive environment is fostered in daily interactions and workers are encouraged to freely share ideas and to dissent when they feel things are going in a bad direction, this will transition over to the emergency scene as well. For a worker to speak up, they must not feel threatened, and they must feel appreciated. If your silent member is an introvert, learn to ask open-ended questions and be patient for responses. If there is a few seconds of awkward silence, avoid filling it with your own answers. Be patient. Introverts need to reflect and rehearse their responses. Understand the pace may be a little slower than what you want or expect. Okay, every once in a while, a near-miss report comes past me that is worth sharing, and this one comes from the National Near-Miss Reporting System. Firefighternearmiss.com is the website. And it's from an aerial ladder that was energized when it was near power lines. It didn't touch the power lines, it was near the power lines. When an engineer was doing a daily aerial check, the ladder got energized without actually touching the power lines. Here's the description of the event. As the engineer was performing daily ladder service checks on the department's 100-foot aerial, the ladder had been extended towards some electrical power lines. As the engineer was rotating the ladder to stow it back in the bed of the truck, it became energized as it swung near the power lines. The tip of the aerial was about 25 to 30 feet away when it became energized. There was an audible sound of electricity as it charged the apparatus. Upon further investigation, there were dime-sized char marks at the tip of the aerial. As the outriggers were stowed, they also found evidence of electrical burns and holes in the concrete beneath the outrigger pad from the electricity. There were no injuries as a result of the incident. Their takeaways. Aerial operations sometimes place aerial ladders and crews in awkward and dangerous locations, such as near power lines, a scrub area for rescue operations, or vertical ventilation. As a crew approaches a scene, they look for the best apparatus placement and what hazards they may face. Overhead power lines always create challenges for ladder placement. We often read about aerial ladders contacting power lines, energizing the apparatus, and causing serious injuries or death. What we need to realize is that power lines don't have to be in contact with an object to energize it. The electricity can arc from a distance. We must evaluate the risk when using aerial operations instead of ground ladder operations. Knowing the dangers and understanding the behavior of electricity should be an ongoing education. It's important to work with your local power company from both a response and collaborative approach. Now, if you want to go back and listen to a podcast where I interviewed a crew that was doing apparatus checks and their truck came in contact with a high voltage line, go back to episode 101 where I interviewed the firefighters from the Sioux Falls Fire Department, episode 101. Reading this report also reminded me of a private industry situational awareness program that I did, where an employee was putting a ground ladder up near some high power lines, and the power arced off of the line onto that aluminum ladder and killed the employee. The takeaway for this is that you have strong situational awareness about the concept that power lines do not have to be contacted in order to present a threat to your survival, that the power can actually arc off the line to a metal object and its efforts to find a way to ground. Okay, as I always do, I want to take a moment to thank the departments and organizations that have hosted some great training for their members on situational awareness. I do this to show my appreciation to those organizations that have put forth the effort to organize, advertise, and fund great training experiences for their members and for others in their region. Recent tour stops included the Maryland Fire Rescue Institute National Fire Service Staff and Command Program in Towson, Maryland, the Public Safety Commission of Beaver County in Pennsylvania, the Cranberry Volunteer Fire Company in Pennsylvania, the International Association of Fire Chiefs Company Officer Leadership Series in Blue Springs, Missouri, the Lancaster Fire Department in Texas, and where I am now in Richland, Washington for the Washington Hazmat Conference. And by the time this episode airs, I will have completed a keynote address and a breakout session for the Oregon Fire Training Officers Association Conference in Medford, Oregon. If you want to join me at an upcoming Situational Awareness Matters Tour Stop event, on April 20, I'll be in Penticton, British Columbia. April 22, Creston, British Columbia. April 24, Michigan City, Indiana. April 25, Indianapolis, Indiana. May 2, in the Fire Department of the City of New York Incident Management Team meeting. May 3, Orangeburg, New York. May 4, Mamaroneck, New York. May 6th and 7, Toronto, Canada, for the Toronto Fire Chiefs Conference on the 6th and the Ontario Fire Training Officers Conference on the 7th. May 16th, Hartford, Connecticut. May 17 to 25, the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. If you are in the New England area looking for a companion program, May 17 to 25 would be a great time to host an evening companion while I'm going to be in town for that, better than a week. And May 31, the Colorado Springs, Colorado Fire Department. If you want to see the locations of all the upcoming Situational Awareness Matters tour stops, head over to the website, samatters.com, click on the blue box on the right side of the homepage labeled Upcoming Events Schedule. The schedule is always changing, so check back often. The last time I delivered situational awareness programs in southwest Minnesota, I stopped by and visited the sponsor of this podcast show, Midwest Fire. Midwest Fire makes all poly fire apparatus bodies, and it's changing the industry. You really need to check them out at MidwestFire.com. Anyhow, when I was there, I had a chance to sit down and talk to some of their employees about what separates Midwest Fire from their competitors. Here, I got a chance to talk to account executive Dalton Lingbeck about the various types of apparatus that they build. Let's listen in. Okay, Dalton, tankers and tanker pumpers. That seems to be the game for Midwest Fire. I see, even as I'm here at the factory, I see a number of tankers and tanker pumpers. But do you build anything else? Are you basically just a two-product company, or do you have other types of trucks that you're building for customers?
We do in fact build a lot of tankers and tanker pumpers. They are our bread and butter. We love building them, and they're a great product for us. But in fact, we do not only build tankers and tanker pumpers. We try and fill the whole department. So if anyone needs to replace their fleet, we can do it. We do a lot of roll pumpers. We're starting to do more and more of those. We don't really trend towards more of the major metropolitan cities with pumpers. We leave that up to the guys that have been doing it for a long time. We take care of our customer base, which are volunteer firefighters, rural firefighters, and we provide them with the rural pumpers. We also do quick attacks. We do a lot of rescue quick attacks, mini pumpers, not necessarily the PTO mini pumpers, but we do portable pumps on these things. So essentially, it's a lot of rescue tools. It's on an F550. It's got a rescue-style body, but we call them quick attacks. And then finally, we do brush trucks. And brush trucks we love doing these because these things are one of the coolest trucks and coolest firefighting pieces of equipment on the face of this earth. We've been doing a lot of those. We've started doing brush trucks around 2.5 years ago, and we have been building roughly 10 to 15 a year, and we're increasing that by the day. It's a really cool thing, and you'll be seeing a lot more Midwest Fire brush trucks in the future.
So if somebody wanted to see what these trucks look like, are there pictures on the website or a gallery, or is there someplace they can go to put their eyeballs on what we're talking about here?
Yeah, definitely. We have many areas where you can see the pictures. We have a Twitter account. We do a lot of delivery pictures and just pictures in general on our Facebook. That's a huge place for people to go see us. But the biggest part is our website. We do have a deliveries tab, and you can see all recent deliveries on our website from the day they were delivered all the way back to how many ever years ago.
Yeah, nice. So if you want to learn more about the types of apparatus that Midwest Fire is building, tankers, tanker pumpers, quick attack pumpers, brush trucks, rural apparatus, visit them at midwestfire.com and see how they can help you. Thank you to Midwest Fire President Sarah Atchison and all your staff for your awesome commitment to improving first responder safety. I sincerely appreciate your support of my mission. If you're not a member of the SA Matters community of learners yet, consider joining. There are over 5,000 members connected here on SA Matters, sharing ideas about how to improve situational awareness, how to make better decisions under stress, how to train members to be critical thinkers and resilient problem solvers. Membership is free, and when you sign up, I'll send you a special report that I've created for new members called 25 Best Practices for Improving First Responder Safety. Joining gets you my monthly newsletter also that contains feature content from the blog and the podcast. It really is the best way for us to stay in touch with each other. If you're not a member yet, head over to the SA Matters website and click on the red box on the right side of the homepage that says Free Membership. If you want to get connected with me on Twitter, you can follow @Rich Gasaway on Twitter. On LinkedIn, you can search for Rich Gasaway. On YouTube, you can watch my videos on the SA Matters TV channel on YouTube. And on Facebook, you can like the SA Matters page. Well, that's it. Episode 155 is complete. Thank you to our awesome podcast sponsor, Midwest Fire. Thank you to all of our live event hosts. Thank you to our more than 700 online academy students. And thank you, our listeners, for sharing some of your valuable time with me today. I really appreciate your support of the SA Matters mission. Be safe out there, and may the peace of the Lord and strong situational awareness be with you always.
You've been listening to the Situational Awareness Matters radio show with Dr. Richard B. Gasaway. If you are interested in learning more about situational awareness, human factors, and decision-making under stress, visit samatters.com. If you are interested in booking Dr. Gasaway for an upcoming event, visit his personal website at richgasaway.com.